5 years after the beginning of the Second World War in the year 1943, the end of the armed conflict started to be felt. On the Eastern Front, Stalin's Russia launched a firm counteroffensive against the Nazi troops that culminated in the Red Army's victory at the Battle of Stalingrad. Meanwhile, on the Western Front, the Allies disembarked on the Sicilian coasts, thus commencing the advance of the so-called European fortress. That year, the young Ratzinger turned 16, and together with many of his classmates, he was assigned as a student to an anti-aircraft artillery unit in Munich. On September the 10th, 1944, Joseph's unit was dissolved, and they sent him home. But upon arriving, there was a letter waiting for him on the table from the Reich, convoking him for mandatory military service. On September 20th, after an interminable voyage, he arrived at a camp on Austria's border with Hungary, where to his great surprise, he found many of his classmates from the school in Traunstein. At the end of October, Hungary fell into the hands of the Russian army that was inexorably approaching the Austrian border. In the face of this threat, the entire unit dedicated its strength to the construction of anti-tank trenches. Benedict XVI often remembered this as a dark and oppressive period. On the 20th of November, without warning, the unit was dissolved and they sent them home. But the calm didn't last. 3 weeks later, the German army recruited him again and sent him to the infantry barracks in Traunstein, the city where his family lived. The young Ratzinger, recruited against his will from the beginning of the conflict, would never be sent to the front lines, nor would he participate in armed confrontations. In 1945, during a routine march with the infantry, Joseph deserted. With the German defeat and the arrival of the Allies, the Ratzinger family home was converted into a military barracks. With many others, the young Ratzinger was identified as a soldier and made a prisoner of war. After a 3-day march, the group of prisoners arrived at the city of Ulm, where they were imprisoned in a camp with 50,000 other prisoners. Under the elements, day after day, the young Ratzinger admired the majestic profile of the Cathedral of Ulm on the horizon. It was a vision that, as he would remember in his biography, consoled him during this final stage in which he experienced the eternal humanity of the faith. 3 weeks later, the Allies liberated Joseph Ratzinger, and finally, he rejoined his family in Traunstein.